Hello and welcome to another episode of a weekly Waypoint. Today we are doing a Dungeon Finder dungeon in Cataclysm Classic pre-patch. World of Warcraft. I should have said the name of the game because I can't assume that everyone's gonna know that, even though it just said it on the loading screen. I know these weekly Waypoints tend to do better when it's like a first-person shooter multiplayer game like Halo or something. But I did try to load into a game of Halo, and I'm recording gameplay on a Monday afternoon UK time, so there was like no one in matchmaking, so I just decided I'll do a WoW dungeon instead. It fits in with what I've been doing this week. I will be talking things other than WoW though, so before you go anywhere, wait, please, no, don't leave. But yeah, as you may or may not have seen, I recently, not this week, but last week, uploaded a video in WoW Cataclysm Classic on Kritigri the Accursed, is what I'm calling her, my Worgen Warlock lady. So this is, I guess, a little bit of a sneak peek as to how that progress is going before the next video. Leveling up in Cataclysm when it's like your first character, because I've never had a max level classic character, I've never played classic endgame. God, it is so slow. Like, I just want to have an endgame ready character so that I can play through Cataclysm zones during Cataclysm and get more of a sense for that story than I did when I was playing through it for the first time in Mists. But there's no way I'm making it on time because if I just spam back-to-back dungeons, I'm going to burn myself out on the game, so I'm just kind of taking it as I go. Plus, I'm still playing retail WoW at the same time as well, and WoW Remix Pandemonium is coming up this week, which is something I'm very excited for, and I'm expecting to be spending a lot of time in. I don't know how many ambidextrous WoW players there are who can play Classic and Modern, you know, kind of like back-to-back without too much weirdness. I think it's a lot easier than it used to be since Cataclysm pre-patch hit, because the game is in a much more recognizable place. We talked about this last week, so I'm not going to go too much into it, but as I've already said, I'm really excited for this version of WoW Classic, and I know that's not a supremely popular opinion, but my server is pretty crammed full, so it's not also supremely unpopular. It's just not one you see everywhere. And that also goes into what we were talking about last week with the internet's truth of something versus the actual reality of something sometimes. Although you could argue a lot of those people are just people who are already playing Classic in older expansions, but still. Anyway, that's enough World of Warcraft talk. I have been playing another MMO this week, a little bit. I've been dual-wielding MMOs as I like to do. I've been playing a little bit more of Star Wars The Old Republic. To give you some, I guess, history of Star Wars The Old Republic, I've never got to endgame in that game either. I've only ever got the Jedi Sentinel's origin story done. He's level like 61 or something. I was doing a Sith Inquisitor, which I know is a fan favourite, and I can see why. I absolutely love the Sith Inquisitor story, but I've kind of stopped and started so many times playing the game as a Sith Inquisitor that I've a little bit lost the thread of what's going on, so this time round I decided to just make a Republic Trooper, so I'm back to being a good guy again. You don't have to be a good guy, by the way, if you're on the Republic side, but I'm playing him like a good guy. And I have to say, I'm really enjoying the class design of I forget which class I am. How to spot a person new to an MMO in a few easy words. I'm not the one with a giant chain gun, but I'm the one who you would kind of deem like the standard Republic Trooper looking ass dude. Hang on, I'll open up my spreadsheet and take a look. I am a Vanguard Trooper. There you go. But yeah, I really actually enjoy the class design of, or at least the early class design. What I've played of it so far, it feels a little bit like playing a hunter in WoW, in that it's not like, you know, you're a ranged class, but it's not like you're casting spells, you know, it's not like you're stood there waiting for the bar to fill up over and over again. It feels nice and instant in that way. I say you're a ranged class, but the little class thing says it's a melee class, so I've had a couple of melee moves so far. Maybe the ranged stuff is like just for pulling, I don't know. But yeah, I do have some Star Wars The Old Republic videos on this channel, but I'm kind of, while I have been recording my experiences on the Trooper, I am debating whether to actually make that into a video series, just because by default that game has a lot of licensed music in it, and whenever I upload it to YouTube it gets demonetized, which isn't a problem because my channel isn't exactly monetized, but more importantly, de-algorithmed due to being demonetized, and therefore it's, you know, I do this for fun, but I would like people to be able to see my videos. And I also like the idea of having some games which are just for me. This is something I've talked about in the past, like of there have been some games I've been playing where I've been like, there are things I could record here and throw into a video, but if I turn literally every single thing I play into a video, then I don't have the time to edit all of the content that I'm going to record. So yeah, Star Wars The Old Republic might become a thing that I just write about, that I just enjoy. And then as well, I don't have to worry so much about like the idea that, oh, I've been recording some Sith Inquisitor stuff, but that was years ago and I don't know where that footage is, and now I'm recording some Republic Trooper stuff and I don't know how that's going to flow into a video. So yeah, I might just leave SWTOR for myself. I would be more than happy to do like live stream playthroughs in the future with the music turned off or something like that. But as we all know, I rarely stick to live stream playthroughs. Anyway, while I'm talking about SWTOR, I want to talk about like something that has been irking me about that game is it's the kind of game where I'm like, I love this game, but I keep bouncing off it. Why do I keep bouncing off it? And I think I figured out why, because I just got to Coruscant on my Jedi Trooper, and my quest objective was all the way at the end of like a 10-minute long run zone. Like there were no other relevant objectives throughout the zone, just get from point A to point B to go and talk to this person to get information from them. But of course, while it's like a 10-minute flat run, it's also highly populated with various mobs which don't really like have any relevance to anything I'm doing. They just get in the way, and so it becomes like this pacing killer. And it's Coruscant specifically. That's not necessarily the design of every planet, but I have noticed that on Coruscant with every class so far, and there's a few others like it too. And I just think like, I think the thing I really am invested in with Star Wars The Old Republic is like the various origin stories and stuff like that. And I'm also really curious about the expansions too. But I think sometimes you get to a planet and maybe the sub-story on that planet isn't quite as interesting, or you know, like the quest design is weirdly like, you know, the pacing isn't that great, because at this point, you know, the origin stories are old video game design. They were made in what, like 2012 or something. And then of course SWTOR has that old RPG problem of if you put it down for too long and you pick it back up later, you're like, wait, where the hell am I? What the hell was I doing? So yeah, I really enjoy SWTOR and I'm going to keep playing it, but I think that's a pain point that I have managed to identify in this latest kind of a romp through the game. But yeah, I've joined a guild and they're really friendly, and I have asked them like, is it a bad idea to just want to play through all the origin stories before I get to the expansion content? And they're like, no, it's a really good idea. But I am starting to question, like, I'm very curious about the expansion stories, so maybe I will just do them and then get back to doing the origin stories. But I'm not sure. I would rather do the expansion content on a character that feels familiar and fresh though, and since that would mean leveling up my newest character, that would mean that I am now on 2 separate MMO grinds to get to quote-unquote max level to see the end game, this and Cataclysm Classic. So yeah, who knows if I'll make it through either one of those grinds, or if I'll try and do both at the same time and burn myself out and drop these games and play other ones. But that's what I'm doing for this week, for this minute, for this particular week of hyperfixation. I guess it's not a hyperfixation, it's just a fixation. Another game I've been playing this week is Little Kitty Big City, which is an indie game which hit Xbox Game Pass this week, and it's frickin' delightful. It's just this cute little game where it's like a little collectathon platformer with like various objectives where you're kind of roaming the city, the big city as a little kitty, and you're trying to find your way home, but it's not super emotionally, you know, distressing. And you go around and you meet these other animals, and they all got like these little personalities, and if you're a person who likes cat, you should absolutely play this game. Did I say cat singular? If you like a single cat in this world, you will enjoy this game. With all the turmoil that's going on around AAA game development right now, it's a nice reminder that, hey, indie games kind of have that thing that you've just been looking for in games. They don't always have to be this big budget, you know, massive effort. Or I guess I should say a team of hundreds, kind of a team effort, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure this was still a massive effort for the people who made the game. But yeah, Little Kitty Big City, check it out, it's cute! Another thing I've been doing this week and the week before, which you may or may not have heard of, is reading a little manga series called Boruto, Naruto Next Generations, which I will probably be making a thoughts on video about. No promises, because I'm making lots of thoughts on / blurble reasoning style videos at the minute, but I do have some thoughts I want to get out about that series. But to kind of truncate them here, I've heard lots of shit talk about Boruto, about how it's all filler, it's all, oh, it's not like the original story, oh, it's rubbish, oh, you should hear what they've been doing lately, and then someone gave me a little overview, and I'm like, okay, sure. I can't speak for the anime. I really like the manga of Boruto. I really like it, and I think I get why people hate it. I think people hate it because the evolution of the world kind of means that the story that's being told is almost a different genre of story that was being told in Naruto. Like, if you wanted a sequel manga to Naruto, I still think this is a brilliant sequel manga, but if you just wanted it to be more of the same, you don't get that here. Like, there's elements of what came before, but it's very much like not just telling its own story, but evolving the world in its own direction and therefore changing the shape of a story that's being told, if that makes sense. One thing I will say is, structurally speaking, I guess, this story feels similar to in Dragon Ball Z, when there were time skips and the storytelling kind of moved away from Goku and moved more into like Goku's kids and like their powers and how they were stronger in different ways. And how they found power in different ways to the original cast, and how they surpassed those people in different ways than you might have expected. It's a very similar story here. But yeah, I finished the original run of the Boruto manga. They recently actually swapped to a new run called Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, I believe it's called, so I've started reading through that. I'm very almost up to date. I'm like 5 chapters behind. And I will say I don't love where the plot's been going for like the second half of Boruto and like the opener of this. I don't like love it. I'm not in love with it. But I am enjoying it, and I am curious, and I will be happy to go further into that in a specific thoughts on video, because I can't really go further into that without giving spoilers. But yeah, I absolutely do not regret deciding to read the Boruto manga. Speaking of media that I've been enjoying, Doctor Who, the first 2 episodes of Season 1 of Doctor Who came out this week, and I'm not going to talk too much about that, because I've already got a video out about it. A video which has more dislikes than likes, because I enjoyed it, and that's a very controversial opinion apparently, but I don't really care. Russell T Davies is taking the series in a strong, bold new direction, and it has many people feeling, I guess, alienated from the show, and some of them feel that way, I guess, for understandable reasons, and some of them feel that way for, I guess, less understandable reasons, and the way a lot of those people have chosen to talk about that is very aggressively towards anyone who is enjoying the show for what it is these days. So I've been deleting some comments. I've been shadow banning some mean people. And while I won't say I'm completely unaffected, I will say I'm a lot less bothered by this than I might have been a few years ago. I guess I'm starting to get used to the idea of people showing up and being angry and leaving mean comments on a thing that is just me saying I like something. I'm like, you are reacting to a version of me that doesn't exist, because that version of me is someone that you've made up in your head. So I don't have to try and empathize with you, and I don't have to take it personally. I can just be like, okay, bye. Sometimes I'll read a comment and be like, oh shit, oh jeez, and then I'll be like, wait a minute, this is just a TV show. This is just a fucking TV show that I said I liked, and then everything's fine again. Quick aside, you may have seen on the screen, I don't know when this dungeon actually ends, and I don't think the tank did either, and people just started leaving, and I don't know if we actually finished the dungeon or not. So that was a fun thing to try and figure out. It's been a while since I've played this version of these dungeons, in this version of kind of like Dungeon Finder, and this version of Quest Tracker and stuff, so apologies if I've been a little bit scatterbrained or inefficient in my gameplay style. No, not apologies. I'm not going to apologize. This is an explanation, not an apology. I'm entering my unapologetic era, damn it. Ooh, very loud drilling, very nice. Someone's just started drilling very loudly. Sorry. Anyway, the last thing I want to talk about today, over the sound of this loud drill, which you can slightly hear in the background, is the fact that I've spun up not just 1, but 2 new creative projects this week. The first of which is called Project Second Screen. There will be a link to it in the description below. So far there's only 1 video up, and it's going to be a very infrequent upload schedule. It's not a schedule at all, but it's basically exploring virtual worlds, going on kind of like... The first video is just a walk through Stormwind in first person mode, and I'm not the first kind of person to be making this YouTube channel, but hopefully I can branch out and bring you kind of atmospheric walks from video games which you might not be expecting, as well as the ones which I do enjoy that do get some of this kind of attention already. And the second project is... what the hell is the second project again? Oh, right, Kritigri FM. I got wind of Anchor turning into Spotify for podcasters recently, and so I went and claimed Kritigri FM, and I was like, oh, I should do more with this. So I also uploaded a video version of my first kind of quote-unquote episode. Again, it's going to be, not to any kind of schedule because I'm already full of doing things, but just something as and when I want to do it. It's going to be kind of like a topic-based podcast about video games and entertainment. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this episode of Weekly Waypoint, which may or may not have included a complete dungeon experience. Feel free to leave a comment below in regards to any of the topics I talked about today, and I'll see you in whatever I make next.